Howdy people, I'm Alice Malloy, and I'm going to talk about overfishing. According to the Groene Amsterdammer, a Dutch magazine with a good reputation, the average world citizen consumes 20 kilos of fish a year, which is more than ever before. But all those fish have to come from somewhere, which is the problem I'll be discussing today. Overfishing is threatening ocean life. According to the Oxford Learner's Dictionary, overfishing is the process of taking so many fish from the sea, a river, etc., that the number of fish in it becomes very low. This is something happening to a lot of species in oceans all over the world, in Dutch waters as well. The amount of fish has gone down drastically, according to the NOS, the reliable Dutch news organization. Over the past 50 years, a Dutch research organization measured the amount of fish they caught in a trap set in the Wadden Sea. While 50 years ago, they still caught an average of 65 kilos of fish a day, the number has now decreased to only 5 kilos a day. Since people everywhere depend on the availability of fish, it is a global problem that, because the sea belongs to no one, we need to solve together. My fellow students will discuss the problem from a scientific and technological and an ethical perspective. Deonte will discuss as a solution the sustainable ways of fishing without completely damaging the ecosystem, and Britt will discuss a production quota for large companies. I'll be discussing the problem from an economic perspective. Since a lot of people financially depend on fishing, especially in already poor countries, economics needs to be considered in coming up with a solution. My solution is fish farming. According to Radar, a Dutch TV show with a good reputation, farmed fish is fish that was grown on a special fish farm, a contained place where they breed fish. Doing this on a big scale is more efficient and cheaper than getting them from the wild. As the demand for fish keeps growing and growing, and the amount of wild fish is growing smaller and smaller, fish farming seems like a very logical solution here. And why not? On land, we've already switched from hunting to farming thousands of years ago, so why would fish farming be any different? According to Greenpeace, some of the biggest concerns with fish farming are the introduction of non-native species to the wild, still taking fish from the wild for breeding and feeding purposes, diseases and pests, and water pollution. But you can make fish farming as sustainable and as animal friendly as you want. With farming on land, as soon as consumers start asking for sustainable meat, the meat industry could provide it. But a lot of people still choose pricing over sustainability, which is why agriculture is often not sustainable and or animal friendly. The same goes for fish farming. To make fish farming sustainable, only a couple of steps need to be taken, and it is already known how to make the industry sustainable. According to the BBC, by far the biggest issue for salmon grown in Norway is sea lice infestation. The sea louse is a common parasite that moves between farmed and wild stocks, but is found in much higher numbers where fish are clustered together for farming. Sea lice can harm the salmon and damage the wild fish population if it gets out of control. Marine Harvest, a large fish farming company, is trying to keep down the sea lice by introducing feeder fish, which naturally eat the sea lice of the salmon. As for other diseases amongst fish, according to the National Center for Biotechnology Information, a number of viral vaccines have been developed in the example of finfish, as well as improved techniques for delivery of these vaccines at affordable prices. According to Seafood Watch, an organization that helps raise public awareness about sustainable seafood issues, pollution can be reduced with improved monitoring and treatment of wastewater from fish farms. They also say that sustainable feed exists and countries can introduce laws to ensure that only native fish can be bred in the farms. Such issues are similar to problems faced by regular farmers and are by no means reason for abandoning fish farming. And often the solution already exists and it just depends on the consumer. According to the National Center for Biotechnology Information, population growth has increased to the point where wild fish alone can fill only 2/3 of the current demand for fish, so we need farmed fish to meet the current demand for fish. So, to conclude, to solve the threat overfishing poses to ocean life, we need to invest in sustainable fish farming. We can overcome all the challenges fish farming is facing by using vaccines and sustainable feed, by monitoring wastewater, and by introducing laws. If the cavemen could figure out how to farm land animals, we can figure out how to farm fish.